Hi, welcome back to La Belle Vie. So today I have some more Dan Markel content. This, just by way of background, this is the case involving the murder of FSU law professor Dan Markel back in 2014. We currently have 3 individuals that are serving time for his murder. One individual pled guilty in exchange for testimony, and 2 other individuals were recently convicted, one in 2019 and one last spring in 2022. We also have a 4th defendant that is currently awaiting trial, and that is Charles Adelson. Charles Adelson is Dan Markel's former brother-in-law. So today my video is going to focus on what I'd call the elephant, the pink elephant in the room. Or, as Christopher DeCoste said last spring in the retrial of Catherine Mbanwa, this.
This is all about you, isn't it?
Excuse me?
This is all about you, right?
I was called to be a witness and I'm testifying, so I don't understand the question. Is it a question?
There's about 100 people in this courtroom, right?
There are people in the courtroom.
Possibly thousands watching, right?
I have no idea who's watching.
And it's all because of your failed marriage, right?
I disagree with that.
You disagree that your ex-husband is dead because of your family.
Yes, I disagree.
These jurors are here for weeks doing their civic duty because of your marriage, right?
No.
Katie's going through this ordeal because of that marriage, right?
No.
Dan Markel's parents are going through absolute misery because of your failed marriage. Isn't that right?
No, that's incorrect.
So Wendi Adelson is the former wife of Professor Markel, and, always the former spouse is somebody that the police look into. Of course, Wendi has not been charged, and of course, anyone that has or has not been charged is obviously presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law or someone pleads guilty. Okay, but I wanted to focus on her because I think this one is the one that people get really frustrated with, as far as why the state hasn't pursued charges. So I went through the interview that she had conducted with police the day that Professor Markel was murdered. I've listened through it twice. It's over 5 hours. And both times there were certain aspects of the interview that really stood out to me as interesting, right? Again, this is just interesting things that stood out to me that possibly might have stood out to you. So the first one I'm going to put in the bucket of Wendi the Charmer. And I'm going to insert first here a video, some aspect where she was talking with the victim advocate. And let's see what you think.
Because you're going to have to go.
I'd really like my family to come.
Okay.
They're not here, but
where are they located?
I'm just so upset right now that I'm worried about parenting effectively. So if my parents were here, they could help me. They're really close with the kids, so they could help me. I feel like you and I look a little bit of like, do you see this as you're looking at my face?
You have very pretty blue eyes. They're much bluer than mine.
But I feel like, anyway, it's like looking at my sister, similar hair. I must look awesome right now, but when I'm not in crisis.
Is the victim advocate Wendi's long-lost sister? It just seemed, and there was another portion of the interview where Wendi's complimenting her on her skirt and saying she has the same skirt. It seems to be a little odd behavior to me. But along that line, here's another one. This is where Wendi is talking to Detective Isom towards the end of the interview process. What do you think here?
Ellen and Lynn.
Right.
They live really close to me.
Okay.
You look like you've had a long day.
I have. Okay, so we'll be getting ready to go in just a minute, okay?
Okay, well, I don't have a lot of stuff to take with me.
I know.
Can
I
I
know.
throw out the tissues in the trash can?
Yeah, but we're not there yet. I just wanted to.
I'll get a trash can for you before you go, don't worry.
Think about it. Her ex-husband, the father of her children, was just shot, and he wasn't gonna survive. And it's just like talking to the detective of, he's had a long day. I don't know. It seemed odd to me. Again, it just could be just odd behavior. Second thing I think that was odd was she had some very interesting reactions about her family potentially being involved.
Do you think someone would do this for your benefit without asking you?
No.
What good does it serve?
I made my brother, the one, his name is Charlie, the one I'm really close to, he makes a lot of jokes in bad taste, and it was a joke he made. He bought the TV for me this morning that got broken, and I was talking to him about whether it made sense to pay to fix it or whether I should get a new one, and it was always his joke that, like, he knew Danny treated me badly, and it was always his joke. He said, I looked into hiring a hitman, and it was cheaper to get you this TV, so instead I got you this TV. Okay. I mean, he would never. He's my big brother, and he's been taking care of me since I was little, but he would never. And I told that to the repair guy this morning.
Right. That's okay.
I said, he asked me how much it cost, and I said I didn't know because it was a gift, because my brother said it was cheaper than a hitman. It was my divorce present.
Okay.
Such a horrible thing to say. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, my parents are, very angry towards him. But even when they're around my kids, they would never say a bad word about my kid's father. They're really, really careful about that. They just like him, but they know he's the father of my kids. They would never do that.
Right.
I don't know who would be angry enough with him.
Well, that's what I have to find out.
To do something like this.
I also thought it was odd when Detective Isom said, okay, so there are potential people here that might be responsible for your ex-husband's murder. Would you want those people to be prosecuted?
If you found out that this was someone that you personally know, would that change your mind about what should happen to that person?
About what should happen to that person?
For prosecution purposes.
No.
Is there any way that you would think
somebody tried to kill my ex-husband, they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
Regardless of who it is.
I mean, it would be different if I thought it were my brother, but I don't think it was my family.
Okay.
Anyone outside my immediate family, that's a tough one.
Okay.
But I don't think my immediate family did this, so if it's anybody else, yeah.
Okay. Would you think that this guy Charlie would even be capable of doing something like this?
No.
It's just talk.
He's the Joker.
Okay. All right.
I also thought it was odd when she called her parents. It seemed a bit rehearsed to me. What do you think?
Okay, here goes. This is the worst day of my life. Maybe I should text them if I can't reach them. Hi, Mom. How's it going? Mom, I need you to sit down. I am fine. The boys are fine. I need you to sit down. I'm fine, and the boys are fine. Danny has been. You can put me on speaker. Yeah. Danny has been shot. And I don't think he's gonna make it. And so, I know. So I found this out around 1 or 2 today, and I'm at the police station, and I'm trying to help them figure out who may have done this. The boys are fine. I had Lynn and Alan pick them up from school, and they're with Lynn and Alan right now. and I'm gonna leave here soon and go be with them. But I really need you to come here and be with me. But I want you to either fly, I mean, obviously you can't leave right now, but I need you to get yourself together. If it's too much to drive, I'd really rather that you flew up. I'm at the police station, and I'm gonna leave soon and be with the boys before they go to bed. They're with Alan and Lynn, and they're totally fine. Yeah, the boys are fine, but they don't know anything yet. In his house, I know, I know. So I just need you to calm down before you get in the car, okay? Okay, so, and it's, it's evening, so if you wanna come here tomorrow, I have a lot of people that'll, be here with me, and, we'll have a lot of support. So I want you to take your time and just be safe in getting here, but I'd like you to come when you can, okay? Yeah. Okay, all right. I love you. I think Jane might, I have the car here, but Jane might take me. I'm not gonna be alone, so I have a lot of support and I'll be fine. Yeah, if you could just come here, that would be great. He's in the ICU in the hospital. Okay, but be careful, okay? Okay. Okay. Okay, love you too. Bye. Mom? Oh.
You did awesome with that call.
Thanks.
You were so stressed out about it, and you handled it.
But even more than that, when she's talking to the victim advocate and saying, my parents would have a reason to hurt him, but my mom sounded okay, and, I couldn't deal with that right now. Like, that's just odd behavior, I think. I'm sorry, it's odd behavior. Does that mean she was involved? Again, no one's been charged, but I just think it's odd behavior.
My mom handled that pretty well. Could you hear her?
Yeah. I think, because you're a mama, but moms always go in that natural instinct to kind of protect and help and...
Oh my God. Well, my parents sounded really surprised, so it's at least a relief. I was trying to think of who would be angry enough to do something to him. My parents would be angry, but they're not capable of this. Thank God. I really couldn't handle that right now.
Yeah, no.
She immediately goes to Dan Markel's new girlfriend's ex-husband. And here's some clips there.
His relationship with her have anything to do with your all's divorce?
No.
No, it had nothing to do with
No.
an extramarital affair or anything?
No, but the only thing I'm thinking is Amy, I don't know what Amy's full divorce situation is like, so if you're gonna think of someone who's not thrilled with Danny, I don't know how happy her husband or ex-husband is with the situation.
Do you know anything about him?
I don't know anything about him.
Okay.
I keep thinking the only unknown I can think of is Amy's ex-husband. Is he still in the picture? Is he upset?
Right.
Danny, I defriended him from Facebook because I found it too upsetting to see intermittent pictures of the kids. But I wonder, he's very, very public on Facebook about where he is, when he's traveling, where he's going, and so I wonder if he's got pictures up of him and Amy, and if there's a jealous ex-husband in the...
Do you know where this ex-husband would be?
He'd be in New York too.
Is he also an attorney?
I don't even know his name.
Okay.
I just know when Amy came down here, they went over a mutual friend of ours. It's a guy that works at the law school. This guy Jay, and his wife Dory is a good friend of mine, and they have kids my kid's age. And I said to her, I remember saying So what's she like, you know, like she met her before I did, and she said, you know, she's really nice and she's, you know, very sweet, and she's recently divorced too, so she knows how awkward all of this is to meet the new person.
Okay.
I don't know, and I'm scared.
Okay.
And her friend comes in, and a colleague of her ex-boyfriend at this point, Jeff LaCosta, or they were on a break. She's like, okay, well, let's just start blaming him.
Imagine that Jeff would do this. I see why he's a good suspect. And Jane thought of him right away, but I didn't. I don't know why that is. I wasn't trying to be protective of him. I even thought of my own family.
Maybe you weren't really thinking of him at all right now in your brain?
Mm-hmm. I feel like either Amy's ex-husband did this or somebody did this on my behalf. Some crazy deranged person thought that this was a good way to support me, and that's why I feel responsible. Unless it was something to do with Amy, and then I don't feel responsible. But then I'm still responsible because I'm the one who left Danny. If I didn't leave him, he would never be with Amy. And now my kids don't have a father.
I can see why you'd have that logic of that blaming, but and it's going to take some time, but that's not the way to think. You did what was best for you and your kids. And you said it yourself, if anyone took this on their part, they were clearly not in their right mind.
I feel like by complaining about how difficult he was, like, I inspired this lunacy.
Okay. You went through a divorce. You're not the only person that complains about their soon-to-be ex-spouse. Divorces aren't really things that happen to people that are completely happy and together, and each person's going to talk to their person. Okay? You did what you needed to do for yourself. And just because you confided in friends and family and got the support that you needed doesn't give anyone in your friends or family the authorization or even to conclude that that was an okay thing to do, if it was even something like that. And you don't stay with someone for forever just in case something might happen.
Did I do this? Like, what if it's Jeff? Like, then I did this by asking for some time away from him. I made him crazy.
But you haven't said anything that would indicate that you would think Jeff had anything against.
I mean, he didn't like Danny because Danny hurt me, you know?
Right. But what would make you think he'd go to this extreme?
Nothing. Nothing would make me think that. He's a therapist. Like,
He's a social worker.
Yeah.
So.
Another weird moment. She admits that she drives by her ex-husband's house. And presumably that's probably because she has admitted that she did drive by the house when the police were there after Dan had been shot, which is odd. And her trip, would insert that here, that's just an odd way to go. But then also just the idea like, oh, why I go by my ex-husband's house and I'm nostalgic. I mean, that just, these two were not on good terms. They were engaging in heavy litigation post-divorce. So I don't know. I don't know why. I wouldn't be driving by my ex-husband's house. Let me just put it that way.
And then I left the house around noon.
To go to the liquor store and the stuff for the party?
Yeah.
Okay, you went down which road you said?
I went down Trescott.
Okay.
I saw a police car there, and I just thought it was blocked, so I just turned around and drove to, I went down the rest of Centerville, went up Benton, took Benton across, went to ABC Liquors, bought the bourbon.
I'm a little confused. You're up on Centerville Road. What's your purpose of driving down Trescott?
It's usually the shortcut to get to
Oh.
Monroe.
To get to Monroe?
I usually take it as a cut through to get to Thomasville or Monroe.
Okay, all right, so
I
you,
don't know why I said Monroe. I was thinking Mosaic, Monroe, Thomasville.
okay, so when you come down into town on Centerville,
I almost always cut through Trescott.
Trescott, and just drive by your old house?
Well, I do it as a way of like coming to terms with a divorce. But yeah, sometimes I drive there. If I'm too sad, I drive around.
Okay.
If the kids aren't home and I know they're not home, I feel better about driving by the house. But yeah, it's shorter and I just usually drive by.
It's shorter than going all the way down to Benton.
All the way down Centerville and around Benton. It's just
Right.
a shortcut I always took.
Okay, so you turned around and went back to Centerville, I take it?
Yeah.
Down to Benton, and went to the liquor store down there on Thomasville?
Yeah.
The one at Benton Road?
ABC Liquors, it's at, Benton. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
I thought this was interesting. Why would Wendi think that Dan's parents would believe she's involved?
The reason why I say his parents are going to say I did it is because after we got divorced, I wanted to move to South Florida, and I filed a petition to relocate in the court, and the court said no. So
Because of the kids.
So you can always leave, you just can't leave with your kids. So we're in Tallahassee because of Danny's job.
But I get the sense that Wendi, she was the youngest child, she was the only girl, and I just get a sense from the family dynamics that she was the princess, right? It seemed like everyone was focused on taking care of Wendi, and she has kind of a princessy attitude.
My parents don't believe that I can drive the boys down to South Florida by myself, so they like to drive up and help me drive down with them. So my folks were coming up that Sunday. So Jeff left, I had a couple of hours, my parents came up, and then Monday morning I went and picked up the kids.
This idea that her, the fact that her parents drive from South Florida to Tallahassee to pick her up to drive her back and forth. At the time of the murder, she was in her early 30s with 2 children. I think that's just odd behavior. So it was an also odd moment. I think she was about to brag about her book in this right here.
The law school is pretty much separate. I mean, it is part of the university, but it has its own academic deans and all those type of.
Did you go to FSU?
I did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did they do the one book, one campus thing when you were there? Did they pick a book? Did you go undergrad or master's? Or?
Both.
Yeah. Were you in social work?
I was.
If you remember, Wendy's book was chosen to be the book that incoming freshmen in the college, the actual undergraduate school, would be reading. So I was like, oh my God, she's like top bragging about her book in the middle of an interview regarding her ex-husband's fatal shooting. Just odd. So there you go. Thanks again for joining. I would at least kind of give my 2 cents on things that stood out to me that was odd. But again, it's just odd behavior. And again, no one's been charged and everyone's presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. But thank you again for joining, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye.